You walk into a room. Someone laughs. You don't know why, but your chest tightens. A voice in your head whispers, "They're laughing at you." That single thought hijacks your whole body. Your palms sweat. Your shoulders shrink. Hours later, you are still replaying that moment, trapped in a loop that feels impossible to escape. This is the real battlefield, not on distant front lines, but in your own mind. It is the war of whispers, doubts, and invisible enemies that corner you when you least expect it. Nietzsche warned, "He who cannot command himself must obey." And that is the brutal truth. Every time you surrender to the inner voice that says, "Stay small, don't speak, don't rise," you are obeying without realizing it. Here's the twist. Those humiliations, those doubts, those so-called enemies are not just wounds. They are battlefields. And if you know how to fight them with the right tactics, they can forge you into someone unshakable. Today, you will see how Nietzsche's war tactics turn psychological enemies into fuel for power. This is where your rise begins. You believe your enemies live outside you. The rival who steals credit, the boss who mocks your ideas, the partner who betrays your trust. But Nietzsche turns that belief upside down. He shows that the real enemy is not them. It is the storm of resentment inside you. Resentment feels like armor, but it drains you first. Every insult you replay, every slight you hold on to, weighs heavier on you than on the person who caused it. This is why Nietzsche called it poison. It breeds what he named slave morality, a way of living where your worth is defined by the harm done to you, not by the power you create. His tactic is radical. Instead of running from enemies, he reframes them as raw material. He called it the will to power, the drive to turn chaos into creation. Life will throw insults, betrayals, and failures. Nietzsche's challenge is simple. Don't collapse. Transform. Think of it as the sharp edge of growth. Every rival, every rejection, is a stone to strike against. That pressure can either break you or sharpen you. Once you see this, you stop asking why me, and start declaring try me. That is the shock of Nietzsche's revelation. The enemy was never out there. It was always in how you choose to respond. Picture yourself sitting alone after a long day. The office is quiet, the glow of your laptop still on. Yet your mind is stuck in the meeting that ended hours ago. You spoke up, and your idea was brushed aside with a laugh. Everyone moved on. But you didn't. You are still replaying it, dissecting it, feeling smaller with every replay. This is the battlefield Nietzsche warned about. Not the clash of armies, but the silent war in your own head. He called it resentment, resentment that festers, resentment that reshapes your identity. It is not anger in the moment. It is the replay, the cycle, the slow poison that drains your strength. Why does this matter so much? Because resentment builds chains. When you define yourself through your wounds, you stop living forward. You start living backward, trapped in what others did to you. Nietzsche called this the morality of the weak, life ruled by reaction, not creation. Modern science confirms what Nietzsche intuited. Neuroscientists have found that social rejection activates the same brain pathways as physical pain. A dismissive laugh lights up your neural circuits as if you were struck in the body. That is why a few words can hurt for days. The insult ends in seconds, but the replay lasts much longer. So here is the trap. The event itself is small, but the echo in your mind becomes enormous. That echo is the enemy. Nietzsche's tactic is bold. He says, do not live as a victim. He invites you to embrace Amor, Fati, the love of fate. That does not mean you enjoy humiliation. It means you turn it into fuel. Every strike, every dismissal, every betrayal becomes raw material to strengthen your will. Let's bring this into a real story. Imagine Elena, a software engineer in her late 20s. In team meetings, a louder colleague constantly interrupts her. At first, Elena shrinks back, frustration building inside. She tells herself, he is the reason I am not growing here. That is the trap. Her resentment hands him the power. But then she flips the script. She studies his style, sharpens her own presentations, and learns to speak with precision and timing. Months later, her manager notices her clarity and leadership, and she earns a promotion. Her colleague hasn't changed. She has. That is Nietzsche's psychology in action. The enemy is real, but the greater danger is how you respond. Yet many people never escape. They spend years retelling the same story of unfair bosses, broken trust, or missed chances. They build an identity out of wounds. Nietzsche called this a form of death in life, because if your story is only about your scars, you stop becoming anything new. Another layer here is what Jung, influenced by Nietzsche, called the shadow. These enemies you hate often reveal the part of yourself you hide. The arrogant rival may trigger your own insecurity. The manipulative friend may expose your fear of being naive. Even the stranger who cuts you off in traffic can drag your impatience into the light. Enemies are mirrors. They show you the pieces of yourself you try to ignore. The key question then shifts. It is no longer, how do I get rid of them? But, what do they reveal about me? Take a work-related example. You are in a project meeting. A teammate presents an idea very similar to yours but louder, flashier, and gets the credit. Instantly, you think, that's unfair. They are stealing my spotlight. Beneath that frustration is your own fear of invisibility. Nietzsche's tactic here would be, don't waste energy resenting them. Use that energy to sharpen your craft, to build presence, to create work so undeniable it cannot be ignored. Resentment thrives on passivity. The more you replay an insult without acting, the deeper it sinks. Nietzsche's antidote is action. He believed life itself is will to power, the drive to push forward, to build, to rise. And psychology today agrees. Research on resilience shows that people who interpret setbacks as challenges bounce back stronger. Their nervous system calms faster. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that solves problems, switches on. Instead of spiraling, they strategize. Nietzsche anticipated this. Interpretation changes everything, but insight is not enough. You need discipline to break the cycle. Because enemies will always come. What matters is not avoiding them, but transforming every clash into strength. Consider Marcus, an athlete whose career ended suddenly after an injury. At first, he drowned in despair, but then he applied Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence. Live as if you must relive this moment forever. If this setback is eternal, you must make it useful. Marcus studied recovery, became a trainer, and helped hundreds of others rebuild. His enemy was not the injury. It was despair. By defeating it, he built a new identity. And that is the paradox. Enemies want you weak, but by fighting them in Nietzsche's way, you become stronger. Every insult sharpens your resolve. Every failure forces you to grow. Every rival pushes you to expand. The enemy is not a curse. The enemy is the raw material of your evolution. So next time you feel that old familiar sting, pause. Don't drown in resentment. Don't replay the insult until it eats you alive. Look at it differently. Ask yourself, what part of me is this enemy revealing? How can I use this pain as fuel? That is Nietzsche's decoding of psychological darkness. The enemy was never just outside you. It was the echo inside. Once you see that, you have already taken the first step toward victory. You have seen the darkness. You know how resentment poisons you, how enemies expose your shadow, how passivity keeps you weak. Now comes the shift. Nietzsche believed the highest battle is not defeating others but commanding yourself. Transformation is the moment you stop reacting and start creating. Identity is not fixed. It is not given by society, family, or peers. Identity is forged. Nietzsche called it becoming who you are. That process begins with discipline, continues with choices, and solidifies with daily practice. Let us walk through the key tactics to rebuild identity in a way no enemy can shake. 1. Strategic silence. Picture a heated meeting. A senior colleague mocks your idea in front of the team. Instinct says fight back, but reaction feeds their power. Nietzsche's tactic? Command yourself first. Try this. Pause. Breathe. Then ask one clarifying question. What specific concern do you see in this proposal? That single line shifts the energy. You are no longer the target. You are the commander of the rhythm. Silence and precision disarm chaos. Studies in communication show that people who pause before speaking are perceived as more confident and authoritative. The less you react, the more control you project. 2. Reframing enemies. Enemies are not walls, they are ladders. Nietzsche's will to power reframes obstacles as fuel. Take Michael Jordan. Cut from his high school team, he could have sunk into bitterness. Instead, he turned rejection into a lifelong drive. That is reframing. For you, the rival who outshines you is proof you can sharpen your skill. The breakup that broke you is a test of independence. The rejection email is a push to innovate. Each is raw material. Ask yourself, what is this enemy forcing me to build? That question flips resentment into growth. 3. Self-authorship. Nietzsche despised slave morality, living under values handed down without thought. To transform, you must write your own code. Here is a practical drill. Choose 3 values to define yourself. Not what your parents demanded, not what peers admire, what you decide. Example: courage, craft. Clarity. Courage means you take risks that matter. Craft means you refine your skills with discipline. Clarity means you speak truth without apology. When you live by your own values, you stop echoing the world. You become an author, not a copy. That is self-mastery. 4. The daily drill. You cannot think your way into a new identity. You must act it into existence. Identity is the result of repetition. Every day, pick one micro-battle. If discipline is your value, wake when the alarm rings without snooze. If courage is your value, speak once in the meeting. If resilience is your value, take one cold shower and hold steady. Behavioral psychology proves it. Small, consistent actions cast votes for the identity you are building. Nietzsche anticipated this truth. He knew will is strengthened through practice, not theory. 5. Sovereignty. Transformation requires sovereignty, standing alone without begging for approval. Most people avoid this because disapproval hurts. Yet true strength is the ability to hold your ground when misunderstood. Think of innovators. Steve Jobs was mocked before celebrated. Nietzsche himself was dismissed in his lifetime. Both stood firm in solitude. That solitude was their forge. Practice this. Respect opinions, but do not rent your identity to them. Agreement is welcome, but not required. This mindset shift builds inner strength that no ridicule can touch. 6. Amor Fati in action. Nietzsche's deepest command is Amor Fati, love your fate. Stop wishing the past away. Stop replaying regrets. Every failure, every mistake, every painful turn is necessary. Drill. Each night review your day. Pick one setback. Write, I choose it. I use it. That single act transforms regret into resilience. Psychology calls this post-traumatic growth. People who reinterpret hardships as meaningful rise stronger, calmer, more creative. Nietzsche's wisdom lives in modern data. 7. The warrior identity. When you combine silence, reframing, authorship, daily drills, sovereignty, and Amor Fati, a new identity forms. You are no longer a victim of enemies. You are no longer chained by resentment. You are no longer shaped by old insults. You are a warrior, not in violence, but in command. You carry emotional discipline. You project self-mastery. You live by your own code. This identity cannot be taken by rivals, setbacks, or rejection. It is forged within you, and once forged, it holds. Closing the transformation arc, picture yourself again, walking into the room where once you felt small. Laughter ripples. Eyes turn. But this time you are steady. You do not spiral. You do not shrink. You breathe. You hold your values, and you know exactly who you are. This is Nietzsche's war tactic in its purest form. You don't need to crush enemies. You rebuild yourself so completely that no enemy can crush you. That is transformation. That is becoming. ideas die without movement. Nietzsche didn't just preach philosophy, he lived it. Transformation isn't found in one brilliant quote or late-night epiphany. It's forged in repetition, in the daily grind of choosing strength over surrender. This is where theory becomes tool. This is where self-help meets self-discipline. What follows isn't advice. It's a set of psychological weapons, simple enough to use today, but powerful enough to reshape how you think, feel, and act. 1. The will drill. Your mind wakes up half-defeated. Before the world even speaks, your fears already whisper. Start here. Each morning, write down 3 real challenges you'll face today. Next to each one, declare, I will to power through this. Say it out loud. Own it. Do this before checking your phone, before anyone else's agenda hijacks your mind. 5 minutes. That's all. 5 minutes that turn your brain from prey to predator. 2. Enemy reframe. Resentment burns energy like a leaking battery. Nietzsche believed that every enemy was at some level a teacher. Once a week, make a list. 3 enemies. Not just people, habits, doubts, fears. For each, write the lesson they're forcing you to learn. A jealous coworker? Learn to sharpen your edge. Your laziness? Learn to defend your discipline. That rival startup? Learn to out-innovate, not complain. You're not forgiving them. You're outgrowing them. 3. The power map. Without direction, power scatters. Nietzsche despised being reactive. He demanded strategy. Grab a blank page. Write your 6-month goal in the center. Around it, every obstacle. From each obstacle, draw arrows to specific actions. No fluff, no manifesting. Just map the battlefield. Want to be a confident speaker? Obstacle. Fear of judgment. Action. Join a group. Film weekly talks. You can't win a war you haven't mapped. 4. Amor Fati. Reflection. Regret chains your spirit. Amor Fati, love of fate, sets it free. Before bed, pick one setback from your day. Write, I choose it, I use it. Then write one line. How will this serve you? Missed a deadline? Learn to plan smarter. Said the wrong thing? Learn to be present next time. This isn't toxic positivity, it's tactical reframing. Psychologists call it cognitive reappraisal. Nietzsche just called it freedom. 5. The assertive voice. Stay silent long enough and the world writes your script for you. Once a day, speak one sentence where you'd usually bend. Calm, clear, without apology. I can't take that on right now. I have a different opinion. This isn't confrontation. It's sovereignty. Each word plants a flag in the territory of self-respect. The 7-day Nietzsche challenge. Let's turn drills into a challenge. 1 tool per day, 7 days, 0 excuses. Day 1, will drill. Write your 3 challenges. Declare, I will to power through. Day 2, enemy reframe. Pick one enemy, extract the lesson, post it in the comments, 1 line only. Day 3, power map. Draw your 6-month goal, your obstacles, your action plan. Day 4, Amor Fati. Reflect on one failure. Write, I choose it, I use it. Day 5, assertive voice. Say one clear no, or speak one opinion without flinching. Day 6, combine tools. Use will drill, enemy reframe, and assertive voice in 1 day. Watch yourself shift. Day 7, declare and seal. Look back. What tool changed you most? Declare it, publicly or privately. That moment seals the shift. Because it's simple. Because it's repeatable. Because it rewires your mind. Science calls it neuroplasticity. Nietzsche just called it training your will. Every repetition carves a new path. Every action makes the abstract real. This challenge builds emotional discipline, sharpens your mindset, and forges identity through action. It makes philosophy practical, psychology usable, strategy personal. So don't scroll past. Pick one tool. Use it today. Drop a comment below. Let us know which one you chose. Then come back tomorrow and pick up the next. Your enemy isn't criticism, or fear, or even failure. Your enemy is delay. And every time you act, you strike a blow for the future self that's waiting to emerge. Pick up the tools. Step into the challenge. Forge your identity. Picture yourself walking into that same room again, the one that used to trigger doubt. Someone looks your way, someone laughs. But this time, your chest stays steady. Your mind does not spiral, you breathe, you hold your values, and you know who you are. This is the shift Nietzsche wanted for you. The war inside is no longer chaos. You command yourself. You no longer waste energy on resentment. You no longer let old wounds decide your future. You rise, not because the world changed, but because you did. Think back on what you have learned. You uncovered the poison of resentment, the mirror of the shadow, the trap of passivity. You built tactics of silence, reframing, self-authorship, and Amor, Fati. You armed yourself with drills and tested them in the 7-day challenge. Step by step, you became stronger, clearer, more sovereign. So here is your invitation. Do not let this be another video you forget. Pause now. Pick one tool. Try it today. Maybe it is the will drill tomorrow morning. Maybe it is saying one clear no. Write it down. Act on it. That is your first victory. And when you are ready, share your experience below. Your story might be the spark that helps someone else rise. If this message gave you strength, subscribe for more. This channel is where philosophy becomes practice, where strategy meets daily life. Together, we build a community of people who fight the right war, the one inside. And in the next video, we will take this further. You will learn how to command respect without chasing it, how to walk into any room with presence. That lesson will change how you carry yourself in every interaction. Remember this. The enemy is never just out there. The true battle is within. And when you win it, no rival can touch you.